Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and to another music reaction. It's been a little while actually since I was able to sit down and film. I've been quite sick. You guys probably heard me in the last few videos that I filmed even before this bit of a break I had to take talking about how I was sick, and then that devolved into a much worse respiratory infection. So I'm still not back to normal, but I'm finally in a position where I can get up and actually film something. So excited to actually have a chance to do that again at least. So today we're going to be checking out more from Tool. I want to thank you guys very much for your positive response to my first reaction to Tool, and I'm excited to continue going down this journey. So today this video is going to be a little bit different from a lot of my music reactions in that I'm technically going to be doing two reactions, watching two videos I should say, but it's two different versions of the same song. So it's really just a reaction to one song, but it's gonna look longer, I guess. This is because I'm going to be reacting to Sober. That is the song that I'm reacting to next. My friends who are interested in Tool have been telling me, which songs that they think that I should check out, and this was one of the ones at the top of the list, but there was some disagreement amongst them between whether I should be watching the live version or the music video version, because apparently the music video was fairly, I guess, impactful as well, but this is also considered to be a great live performance, so I thought, why don't we just check out both? Especially since I saw in the comments of my last Tool reaction that a lot of you guys wished that I had done the live one for that, and there was some differences of opinion there too, so this is a bit of a shorter song than the last one I listened to, so I thought, we'll give it a try. So I'm gonna do the live one first, and I have the lyrics up so that I can actually read them, because you guys also recommended last time bring the lyrics up so I can read them while I'm watching, and I'm gonna try and do my best to do that while also watching the performance, and then we'll move on to the music video after that. I'm gonna do the live one first because I figured, based on what I've been told, that the music video, since it's supposed to be a visual kind of thing, that this way I would hear the song once first without maybe getting distracted by the visuals, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to miss out on the song itself by getting too caught up in the music video, so I figured this was the better way to go about it. But apologies again if I'm not gonna be super talkative. My voice is back, sort of, but it is still not the best, but I'm pretty excited about this, so I hope you guys are too. So our second Tool reaction, Sober. Here we go. Okay, you can tell that this is some older footage, right? For sure. So we got some grainy video, but alright. Look at his hair. This is very 90s.
Shouting every step I take, begging every promise empty, pointing every finger at me, waiting like a stalking butler, who upon the finger rests, murdered now the battle's rusty, just because the sun has come. Mother Mary, won't you whisper something from the past and done? Mother Mary, won't you whisper something from the past and done? Why will not be so just want to stop this
There's some pretty heavy lyrics.
Just a wordless fire. I am just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and all is well. I will find a center in you. I will chew and unleave. I will work to elevate you. Just enough to bring it down. Mother Mary, won't you whisper something about the past and done? Mother Mary, won't you whisper something about
The
the
audience
past?
is it.
Why can't we not be sober? Just want to start this over. Why can't we sleep forever? Just want to start this
Yeah, his voice when he came into it that time, that chorus when he came into it that time was, I mean, honestly, it was kind of haunting. But he was also doing like the jerky body motion, so I mean, it very much has a tormented feel.
I'm just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and all is well. I will find a center in you. I will chew it up and leave. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Why can't we not be sober? Just want to start this over. Why can't we sleep forever? I just want to start this
Ah, the drumming there is so amazing. Just I looked just there's that tempo stuff I was talking about from last time. Okay. All right. All right. So that was the live performance of Sober. And all right. So I mentioned at the beginning, it kind of, I think this is from the 90s, right? When this was filmed. So of course the quality of the video that's going to be uploaded and able to be uploaded online is not going to be great. So it's very kind of fuzzy and pixelated, but the more they kind of got into the performance, the less you kind of even notice that because you were getting more kind of encapsulated in both the sound of it and the physicality of his performance, which was something else. There are elements of it like I don't know what the hell he was wearing that at first, again, also it was kind of like comical and striking, but then as you go throughout the performance, that sort of thing just kind of slips away because you're more caught up in exactly what he's saying and what he's emoting, as well as the music and the rhythms of it itself. So looking at the lyrics, and of course the title of the song is Sober, and then hearing what it actually sounds like, it very much seems to be a song that touches on issues of addiction. At least that is what it feels like and sounds like to me. So I think that considering what the lyrics are about, the actual tone and tune of the song, the music behind it matched very well. But then on top of that, his actual vocal performance was great because to me, I tried to talk about this a little bit during the song itself. There was kind of a haunted element to it, but it was more like I guess I would say like there was a desperation in the way that he was singing some of those lines, especially the ones where he's saying, "Why can't we not be sober?" And "Why can't we drink forever?" And then the things about saying like "I'm just a worthless liar," and then at the end, "I want what I want." I think it's interesting because I feel like looking at this, it could both be like it's the addiction inside them, inside him, or inside whoever it is itself, that is kind of what he's talking about, that it's the addiction and the addict inside that is the liar and the imbecile that is making promises that are empty, that is just bringing you down, that's finding the center and chewing it up and leave you, that will only complicate you, and like that it's the addict itself. So what the addiction and the inner addict ends up doing to you and manipulating you and your thought process in order to continue down the process in the way that you hurt yourself and you lie to yourself. And there's an element of that, and in that sense there's also the sadness of it, that there's a recognition of the misery that comes from this, but then also a longing to be able to live in that state forever, the "why can't we not be sober?" But then at the same time, it's kind of interesting to maybe think, I don't know, because the other thing I was thinking about is that, like, listening to it, it also seems like the sort of thing where if you were in like a toxic, like, romantic relationship with someone, a lot of the things that are talked about here as well seems very like the feeling of that. So I also could see it as not even just romantic, but really any relationship, familial, friendship, could see it as, it isn't so much the addiction just that is conceived as the worthless liar, but him himself. And it could be talking about like his relationships with other people, like he chews them up and spits them out and brings them down and lies to them and makes promises and walks, and that is somewhat partially because of the addiction as well. But so there's an element of it where it's like an inner conflict, like a battle with himself, his inner alcoholic hurting himself, and another element where it's like, no, but this is also me, and I'm hurting other people, I'm doing these things to other people, and it's because I want what I want, and the selfishness about it. And I think maybe you could look at it both ways, or maybe you're supposed to look at it both ways, or maybe it's a metaphor for something completely different, and I'm just reading too much into the fact that it's sober and talking about drinking. But I think that you could also apply it to other sorts of unhealthy dynamics and addictions and relationships. But that I think that it's got to have that dual element, right? The internality and the externality. But I also I do think that the way that it was performed, his performance was really also central to it. It's not just the lyrics itself and the music, but also the actual way that his voice sounded. Like I said, that desperation in there, that kind of longing both for this not to be the case and also to be able to continue down this road at the same time, this conflict, this kind of self-hatred almost in it, is pretty central. And so, yeah, I thought that was great. The riff sounded really familiar to me. So I feel like this is probably a song that I have heard at some point in my life, but that I didn't really like know, or it's not one that I've heard extensively. Like Schism, I've heard so many times because that song used to be played all the time on classic rock stations. But yeah, but I feel like I've definitely heard this before at some point. Because the riff sounds really familiar to me, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed this song, in the way that you can enjoy a depressing song. But and like I said, the performance was also fantastic. So now I'm curious to see the music video. So Apparently, this is also a pretty significant, culturally anyway, music video. I grew up kind of poor and we did not have MTV, so I didn't actually have a lot of exposure to a lot of music videos early on or any of those things. And I know that a lot of other people did. Yes, I also didn't have like Nickelodeon, deprived childhood. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to checking this out. So let's watch this music video together. Here we go. Oh. Is that him dancing like the same as like he is on stage? It's like an overlay of their performance against this. Yeah. Okay. I feel like we're twisting and turning in somewhere. Is this claymation? Yeah, it is. It's claymation. Okay, that's creepy looking. That was pretty great with the timing of the cut. Is the box empty? Package. Whoop. I was very concerned about this package. Oh. Then he's flying. He wants his box. Uh-oh. Oh. It actually kind of reminds me of some of his physicality in the song a bit, and oh god. Some sort of claymation nightmare. Okay, I really like that part. I don't know what that is, but I really like that part. Ooh, the echo part is cool. That's a cool addition. Ew? Oop. Back to the box. Okay, well, that was the music video, and it was something else. Okay, so I was not expecting claymation, and that startled me, and then it ended up being kind of like a claymation House of Horrors sort of situation. So, with lots of greatly disturbing imagery, including the face melting and the other claymation figure that is um seemingly flattened and pinned to the wall behind a curtain, and the melting of the face and all sorts of things with that what looked like intestines running through what was supposed to be the pipe. And but putting that aside, I think it would take a lot more thought than I have in this particular one moment to put into this to fully interpret or try at all to decipher what is going on in this claymation video. But I do think that in terms of the feel of it, in conjunction with the feel of the song, is very appropriate. It seems very good as a match. So there's like I said, a nightmarish atmosphere to this. It also seems like the space that this claymation figure kind of lives in and occupies is very, very kind of secluded and grim, but also very empty. You know, there's very little there. It's grim and it's empty, and but also very small, and there's kind of a feeling or a sense of being trapped both within this place, but also it seems kind of like the figure is maybe trapped in his own, I don't know, obsession or need for this box and whatever it is in it, whether it represents some sort of drug or alcohol, or it just represents whatever it is that somebody is obsessed with or reliant on or feels dependent on or tied to. In that, and that they are also very protective of it, which is interesting. So you see them kind of hiding it away and then taking it out again each day, and like basically stroking over it, carefully opening it, reaching inside, and then you see like the chair floating or them on the bed kind of, and then like later you'll see them putting it back together, hiding it again, and then going on, and it just seems to repeat over and over again. And he seems very, like I said, dependent on it, but also maybe I got the feeling of things like paranoia with like the peering out the door and looking around. And then, of course, you had things that were like the physicality again, like the hunched over nature. There was the tremors and such. So I think it very much was appropriate as kind of a abstract nightmare idea of what it's like to be sort of trapped in this sort of self destructive cycle or spiral that is because you are addicted to something, obsessed with something, reliant on something that maybe ultimately is not good for you, but you are unable to let go of, and you want it because it makes you feel good in the moment, but ultimately it leaves you in this kind of trapped, isolated, rundown, dirty, paranoid nightmare state. And yeah, so I mean that's kind of what I got out of it at first. That's just the sort of feelings that it brought up in me, and like I said, it's something that I would have to watch multiple times, and listen to the song more and put them together in order to try and see if there's more that I can get out of it, because I'm sure that there is. But to me, on the surface, that's what it brought out. And I think that just emphasized again what I was saying after listening to it the first time and reading the lyrics, in my idea of kind of the feeling of the message behind it. I think it did reinforce that for me. Um, the other thing, I did think it was interesting kind of listening to the similarities and differences between the two, between the recorded studio recording and the live performance. There were certain things that they're able to do, of course, in the studio recording that weren't able to be replicated on stage, but not a lot. You know, they're fairly minimal. So they had the part at the end with the lyrics. Some of the lyrics were echoed, repeated in on themselves, and that's not a sound effect that they were able to carry over into live performance. But other than that, it was pretty spot on. Like, the live performance was pretty solidly it, you know? Without, I mean, I didn't notice much of a difference at all, which is saying a lot, because a lot of the time a live performance is quite different from a polished studio presentation of a song. And that especially if you have a song like this one where the singer has to convey a certain sort of emotion and power and desperation in their voice, and it has to take on a certain tone, and it was very much the same. So that's impressive. And I'd be curious to see comparisons of their other live performances and their studio songs, some of them, and how similar and spot on those are as well. Because, like I said, it's not a very common thing with bands where the live show is kind of spot on, or even lives up to what's able to be recorded and polished in a refined studio version. But this did, so that was really impressive to me. And I'm curious if that's maybe one of the reasons that people felt that I should watch or listen to the live performances of these songs as well. So you guys will have to let me know. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up here, but hopefully this longer kind of dual reaction was interesting for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you do have other Tool songs that you would like me to react to, please do let me know, and let me know if you have a preference for a live version, or if it doesn't matter, or a studio version, or if there's anything in particular specifically that you'd like me to check out. Like I've said before, I don't always have the opportunity to reply to your comments, but I always do go back and read them when I have the chance. So I will see your recommendations, and I do appreciate them. So please do keep those coming. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.